What is going on, everybody? I'm Yanni from Yanni's Nerdverse, and today we have a bunch of news on the Batman. Yesterday we got news drop after news drop. We got photos, we got videos, we got clips, we got a potential date, the tickets are going on sale, we got an interview. We got a lot to talk about. So, without further ado, let's just jump into this. The thing I'm going to start off with is an interview with Robert Pattison. Now, in this interview, it confirms one big thing, and that is that his Batman will have a no-kill rule. Now, we've been speculating about this for years now. Matt Reeves has talked about Batman's kill rule many times in interviews, so this isn't really a big surprise, but it's nice that the actor just confirms it. And in this article, he says it really interestingly as well. There's this rule with Batman. He must not kill. It can be interpreted two ways. Either he only wants to inflict the adequate punishment, or he wants to kill and his self-control prevents him from doing so. And then later on, when talking about a certain fight scene, he says something inside him just wants to slit this guy's throat. I told myself that if he spends his nights chasing criminals, it's impossible he does not take any pleasure in it. Now, this is really cool for a ton of reasons. I'm going to preface this by saying this Batman, as I've said many times, as we all know, is an early days Batman. And in the comics, early days Bruce is emotionally disturbed. He is not mentally well. He is dark, he is brutal, he's almost unhinged in most interpretations. And this is definitely the interpretation they're going with. Now, for this no-kill rule, it seems that their approach is that Bruce does want to kill these criminals. Everything inside him, he has this anger in him that's just burning, and he's taking out his anger by beating on these criminals. And really, his anger makes him want to take their lives. But something inside him prevents him from doing so. And that's his no-kill rule. And it's a really cool way of portraying it. And I hope that the arc in this movie is that his no-kill rule changes. Because that's typically also what happens with Batman as he grows up in his later years. It's that Bruce learns to control his anger, and he confronts it and accepts it, and he becomes more heroic. He's not just an agent of vengeance, he's an agent of justice and hope, really. And hope. I know everyone says Superman, but Batman also does mean hope, that you don't have to succumb to these criminals. So I hope that maybe in this movie, it would be really cool if maybe he didn't kill a certain criminal, but he encountered him later on in the film, or maybe near the end, and either that criminal has changed his life and he's a good citizen, or maybe that criminal saves someone else's life and Bruce watches this. And so his no-kill rule turns from something more personal, the fact that he's restraining himself, that he wants to kill them, to the fact that he doesn't want to kill them because he now knows that everyone deserves a second chance, everyone can be redeemed. But now let's talk about the footage and the photos, because we got a ton. We've gotten a bunch of TV spots over the past couple days. Most of it is old footage, but we've gotten new footage like sprinkled in there. We see some new shots of the Batmobile and the Batcycle. We also get some cool new dialogue of Batman and Catwoman. All the TV spots are really pushing their relationship, and I understand why. Their chemistry is amazing. So I'm really excited to see it on the big screen, and hopefully the Batcat stuff is a majority of the film. And you see Selina sort of bring Bruce out of the darkness a little bit, but also she's a criminal herself, so Bruce will be conflicted with that as well. And there's also a lot of similarities with their characters, how they're both trying to do better, but they both have dark pasts. I love that in this TV spot, you hear them like being a little witty to each other. People think that this movie is going to be really funny because of how dark it is, but there's a lot of like humor here and there in a bunch of these trailers that give hints there's going to be comic relief. Not to mention, Penguin as a character, I'm pretty sure, is just going to serve as comic relief. I'm so excited for that too. Also in the TV spots, we get some new shots of Riddler. And when I say new shots, I mean one of the few ones, because I've said this before, but I love that the marketing is not showing too much of the Riddler. Just enough that people know he's the villain and are intrigued, but they're shrouding this character in mystery, and we're kind of like the citizens of Gotham. We've seen these clips, we don't know anything about him. And this shot, though, I will submit, is pretty funny, because the dark side is that he is live streaming all his murders, but I love that he's just live streaming on Instagram. It's so random. Like, I can just picture all these people like hearting the live stream, you know, like, oh, I love that you're uncovering all these lies. Thank you so much. But it's a really cool shot, and it kind of reminds me of Batman Zero Year, where Riddler put his face like all over the bunch of monitors in Gotham, and kind of like took over like was it the cell tower or something like that? Regardless, we're going to see that Riddler takes over all these devices and all of Gotham watches him commit all these atrocities. We also got a bunch of new shots of the Batman. I'll throw them all up here, but the one that I want to focus on is also one that has the best quality, is this photo. It's because this is probably the most menacing Bruce has looked in all the footage. he looks big and powerful and dangerous. He looks almost like the Bat Demon. And my favorite part though is that on his cowl, like, it's all blacked out. But then even his eyes, they're just so white. Not because they have white lenses, but just it's his pure eyes. And you can just see right into his soul, and you can see he's angry and he's intense. I love Pattinson's bat stare, and I'm so glad they didn't give him lenses in this movie. One last thing before we go to the main event. The cinematography in all these TV spots is so great. Greg Fraser is the cinematographer for this movie, and he knocked it out of the park. Every single trailer, every single clip looks beautiful, and I can only imagine what this is going to look like on the big screen. We also got our first shot of John Turturro as Falcone. We have seen him in set photos, but it's just nice to see him in the marketing because he was not in any of the trailers, and I'm pretty sure he's at least a main or a side character. I imagine he's going to be pretty significant, but just goes to show there is so much about the plot of this movie that the world has not seen. Another big fact, haven't seen in the trailers, is the idea of drops. I'm pretty sure, based on the leaks or whatever, that drops supposed to be all throughout Gotham. That's a big problem, like plaguing the citizens. But we haven't seen any of that in the trailers. I can only imagine what surprises are in store for us when we see this movie. I love that we don't know anything going into it. Kind of the opposite of No Way Home, where after the movie, I'm like, yeah, I pretty much knew the entire plot going into it. Going into the Batman, we know nothing. We just know the vibe and the main characters. And at the end of one of the TV spots, we saw that tickets are on sale February 10th. So mark your calendars. It's 18 days away, so less than 3 weeks. I am so excited. I'm going to be booking the first IMAX showing possible. I don't care how early it is. I am seeing this movie, even if I skip school. I want to see the first possible showing. I'm not a great role model. And now the main event. They released a 2 to 3 minute clip of the movie as an ad. And wow. Now, I told myself I would not cave in. I told myself I'm not going to watch any clips until the movie comes out. I want the full experience on the big screen. I lasted 3 hours, and then everyone was talking about how great it was, and I caved, and I watched it, and I have no regrets. This clip was amazing. I remember after I finished it, I sat back and was like, wow, that clip was phenomenal. I can only imagine how this full movie is going to be. I even showed my uncle, and he got goosebumps, and he freaked out. Everyone is loving this clip, and it just goes to show how great this movie is going to be. But without further ado, let's break it down. Now, the general synopsis of this clip is that it's the funeral of, I believe, the mayor. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I believe it's the mayor. And all the citizens of Gotham are coming to pay their respects. And one of the people who are going is Bruce Wayne. And I imagine the reason why Bruce is going is not because of his kind heart, but I believe that he anticipates Riddler's going to show up, or that there is some sort of clue that he needs to find out. And maybe even Alfred is going to say, oh, you can do just as much good as Bruce Wayne if you maybe keep an ear out. And while he's there, he's confronted by Bella Real. Bella Real is, we know, a candidate who's trying to be elected into the government in Gotham, and she's a good egg in the city. She's trying to bring change and make Gotham a better place. And she asks Bruce, why aren't you investing your money? Your family has a history with philanthropy. Please make a difference. But of course, Bruce is just not paying attention. And then he sees a boy. And it's the boy who is the son of the person who has died. And you can just tell, they don't say anything, no flashbacks, but you can just tell on the look on Pattinson's face, he's seeing himself in this little boy. That the parent has just been killed and that he's alone. Now I'm assuming the mom is still alive or something, but still, the loss of a parent is devastating. So Bruce is seeing himself in this child, and it looks like it brings him almost to tears. Not that he's actually crying, but that it is affecting him emotionally. And speaking of, Pattinson in this whole 3 minute clip does not say a word, but conveys so much emotion with his body language and his eyes. I'm telling you, he's a phenomenal actor, and I cannot wait for the world to find out, because so many people still call him just Twilight guy. They're not going to be calling him that after this movie. But then Bruce overhears Gordon talking to some other police officers, and they say that Gil Colson, who's a district attorney, has gone missing. And Bruce is overhearing. It's kind of funny. One of the cops sees him. He's like, hey, Bruce Wayne. And he has a big smile on his face like he knows him. And Bruce is just and just turns away, pretends to not even acknowledge him. And then Gordon goes back to talking to the cop. And after that happens, though, we hear some screaming outside, and everyone starts turning, and then Bruce looks up to the balcony, and he sees the Riddler. He's not very sure, but then people start running, and the Riddler is just staying put. eye to eye to Bruce. And that's when he realizes that the Riddler is here and he knows something bad is about to happen. And then boom, the car crashes through the door and Bruce just turns on his instincts and he sees the child, he sees the car, he runs, tackles the boy to make sure he's safe and saves his life. Then when the car crashes, we see who get out? None other than Gil Coulson, got a bomb on his neck, and the Riddler is calling with a riddle on his chest saying, "To the Batman." And that's where the clip ends. I love this clip because it doesn't show, once again, too much about the plot, but it shows us the feeling of this movie. It is eerie, it is creepy, it's intense. This is going to be a Batman movie that's going to get your anxiety through the roof. And there's so many great aspects to this. The music is great. It's shot beautifully. Once again, Greg Fraser, thank you very much. And Robert Pattinson just acting his heart out. Not saying a word, but portraying so much emotion just through his body language. I am so excited for this movie. I hope this clip gets you excited. And that is pretty much all I have for today. I'm going to be covering any other news we get for the Batman on a day it comes out. So if you like that stuff, I do hope you stick around. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook now, YouTube where you are, all the social media platforms. I post every single day on all platforms. So if you want some nerdy content, definitely go check those out. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.